This is a ShengShou Clock V2, a new competitor in the world of clock hardware. The Qiyi has been unrivaled since its release back in 2020. Today we're going to see everything there is to know about this new release and if it can stand up to the dominance that the Qiyi has held. The first thing I noticed with this clock out of the box is that it certainly has a cheaper feeling to its build quality in plastic, and to be fair, that's because it is only $20, which is a good amount cheaper than the $33 the Qiyi clock will set you back. And this cheaper feeling in no way negatively affects its performance because immediately this thing turns quite well and is in no way reminiscent of the older and slower ShengShou clocks. Now before we take this thing apart and get into the internals, I want to take some time to mention how this thing looks visually because there are certainly split opinions on the way this thing looks. One factor is these dials. They start skinny and get wider at the top, which is an odd design choice. They clearly wanted something more unique, but in my opinion, it just makes quick recognition harder because they sort of got three little points going on. I'm sure this is something that becomes a non-issue with time, and it's just that we've really gotten used to how the Qiyi dials look after 5 years of using only their clocks. The bigger issue is the lack of clear 12 o'clock markers. On Qiyi clocks, they're colored in red to make them stand out to the eye. On here, they're just black and white like every other marker on the clock. This is a simple fix, as they should just make the 12 markers red or blue or some other color. You can potentially fix this issue yourself with a red marker or some dye, but be careful modding the inside markers of a clock, as I do not personally know the WCA legality of doing so. Unscrewing the clock will lead us to the internals, where you see nothing too surprising here, just standard clock gears with normal magnet placements and the pins. Now speaking of the pins, I believe this to be the biggest issue with the clock. The pins are very similar to the old batch Qiyi clocks. New batch Qiyis have ring magnets on the face of the clock which attracts the pins and ensures a super strong magnetic snap between the faces. The old batch Qiyi and the ShengShou do not have those ring magnets, so they will feel much weaker and are easier to accidentally not fully push in before starting your turns. Now this is something you can get used to, but I personally believe that ring magnets provide an objective upgrade to the pin's usability, and it's a shame that ShengShou didn't include some form of them in this clock. Now before putting the clock back together, be sure to subscribe to the channel so I can continue making these videos at the highest possible quality for you guys. Thank you. I lubed it with the same setup I have on my Qiyi and then taped it back together instead of putting the screws back in. Now I should mention, I'm pretty sure you should not tape mod this clock as it makes it way too fast, but after hearing that I had to try it for myself. And yeah, it's way too fast, so just put the screws back in. While taping it back together, I noticed a feature I previously did not see when unboxing. The clock is not perfectly circular. Instead, it has almost unnoticeable divots on each side so that the clock will sit straight up on the table even on unlevel surfaces. Unlike the Qiyi that is perfectly circular and always falls to the side on my table. Now finally onto how this thing performs during solves. If you don't watch my streams, you wouldn't know this, but I absolutely suck at solving clock. So I got my friend Sylvia Crouch to help me out with this part of the review, as she peaked 27th in the world and actually knows how to solve the thing.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Crouch, or Pulsar Cubes. I'm Amy's expert opinion, but I'm very washed now, but my PR is 331, so... The ShengShou Clock out of the box is significantly better than Qiyis are stock, in my opinion. They're faster, and the magnets are very comparable to like a new batch, pretty much any of them in the dials. Before doing a lot of solves, I really struggled with the dials with recognition and also the 12 o'clock. And another big issue I had with it was the pin magnets are significantly weaker than Qiyis. That specifically was the biggest struggle factor for me in switching over from a Qiyi clock, and it also exaggerated the biggest issue I had with the Qiyi, which was, it's a skill issue, but sometimes when I am doing pin transitions, I don't push a pin all the way, and it ends up falling back, and then I do the incorrect move type. Now, I still think this clock is very good, and mine, in all the solves that you see, is not set up yet. This is entirely out of the box. And I also know that some, like, actual top solvers are using it, like, Mick, the former ER holder. I know he already switched over. Personally, I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to switch or not, but it's certainly a main contender.
So there you have it. ShengShou actually cooked here and released a formidable competitor to the Qiyi. It of course comes down to personal preference, as do most things in the cubing world, but if I had to compare the two, I would do it like this. If you're new to clock and you want to get into it, the ShengShou is a great option that will save you money while also being a main contender. But if you take clock seriously and just want that higher quality feeling, then the Qiyi is still the way to go. If you want to buy one of these clocks, you can use discount code AMYKITSU at the Cubicle for 5% off your order. Thank you for watching the video, and go give Sylvia a follow at twitch.tv/pulsarcubes.